Hi everyone, today, we're going to take a look at another horrible case with you. Ashley Harmon was a beautiful, smart, high-energy person. However, when her parents divorced when she was 9, that proved to be a difficult time for her during that period. Ashley transformed into a mother-like figure for her 5 siblings, and she protected them. For Ashley, there was nothing more important than her faith. She was a devout Mormon and belonged to the Church of Jesus Christ and the Latter-day Saints when times got tough for Ashley in her life. She always relied on her faith in God. Her faith provided her with strength and solace in even the most challenging situations. Ashley's unwavering belief in God gave her a sense of peace and resilience, enabling her to overcome obstacles and face any difficulties with determination and courage. In 2003, when Ashley was attending Utah State as a human development major, she met EMT Corgan, a philosophy student like Ashley. EMT's parents separated when he was 10, and he struggled with the aftermath before finding solace in the Mormon faith. Although EMT was not born into the Church of Jesus Christ and the Latter-day Saints at the age of 17, he was baptized into the church in front of his family and friends. Ashley initially found EMT to be cute, and he reciprocated those feelings. EMT was drawn to Ashley's intelligence, and he found himself captivated by her from the moment they met. He shared with his closest friends that he knew Ashley was the one he wanted to marry. Their relationship progressed steadily in several months after meeting during Christmas in 2008. EMT proposed to Ashley. She happily accepted his proposal, and the couple set their sights on a wedding. EMT and Ashley's wedding took place in a Mormon temple, and the ceremony was a testament to their shared beliefs. The newlyweds were overjoyed as they embarked on a new life together. Their marriage was a source of stability and happiness. The Mormon faith holds marriage in high regard and emphasizes its importance as a sacred and eternal union. Followers of Mormonism believe that the bond between husband and wife extends beyond this life and persists even after death. Divorce, while discouraged, is only allowed in extreme circumstances and under specific circumstances. In 2005, Ashley and EMT welcomed twin daughters into their lives. They were overjoyed at the opportunity to become parents and experience the joy of parenthood. EMT embraced his new role as a father, enjoying every moment spent with his little girls. Ashley, on the other hand, was thrilled to finally live the life she had always envisioned. At the time Ashley and EMT were attending college at Utah State University, they managed to find a good balance between taking care of their babies and pursuing their educational goals. Although there were undoubtedly difficult times, they relied on their faith and love for one another to overcome any challenges they faced. With their unwavering determination, they persevered and continued to strive for a better future. In 2009, EMT graduated from Utah State University with high honors, attended law school, and passed the bar, which led him to pursuing a career as a bankruptcy attorney. During this time, Ashley decided to continue staying at home to care for their growing family, while EMT focused on building his career. Ashley dedicated herself to managing the household and nurturing their 4 children. To the outside world, the Corgan family seemed to have an ideal life. They lived in a beautiful house with multiple children and a fulfilling career. For EMT, however, appearances can be deceiving. In August 2010, EMT began to feel the pressure to provide for his family. With 4 young children under the age of 5, the financial demands became overwhelming. EMT made the decision to start his own business, specializing in criminal defense. One of EMT's friends introduced him to Candy Hall, a pargal, who once worked for a criminal attorney and had a good reputation. EMT and Candy met at a lunch date and hit it off, leading to EMT hiring her for his criminal defense firm. Candy Hall, EMT assistant, was married to a man named Robert Hall. By all accounts, Rob Hall was an amazing father and hard worker. When Candy was hired to work for EMT Corgan, she was excited initially. Her husband and children were happy for her. As time went on, Ashley, EMT's wife, began to notice changes in their marriage due to the stress of building a business and supporting their large family. EMT's responsibilities weighed heavily on his shoulders. As a release, EMT started to spend a lot of time at the gym. Working out, going to the gym became like an addiction to EMT, and he started to go at times when it wasn't convenient for his wife Ashley, who was home all the time with the 4 children alone. On January 15, 2011, Ashley and EMT, despite growing distance between them, welcomed their fifth child, a son. However, EMT's attentiveness towards their son differed from the dedication he showed during the birth of their other children. From the moment the baby came home, EMT began spending increasing amounts of time away. Sometimes overnight, in a conversation with her sister Ashley, confided that she was genuinely concerned about EMT's activities. She feared he may be cheating on her. On the other hand, EMT's assistant Candy Hall was also experiencing marital issues. Candy confided in a friend that her husband Rob was jealous of her working for a young and charismatic man like EMT. The couple's constant fighting was taking a toll on their marriage. On March 6, 2011, Ashley and EMT were celebrating their 7th wedding anniversary, but EMT wasn't at home. EMT informed Ashley that he was going to visit a bodybuilding convention, leaving Ashley home alone with the children. Her husband's behavior left Ashley feeling panicked and concerned about the state of her marriage. She wondered if there was something she was doing wrong as a wife that made EMT unhappy. Divorce was not an option for Ashley, so she decided to endure this difficult period in her marriage, with EMT determined to make things better. Ashley decided to confront the situation head-on. Several days later, on March 11th, Ashley woke up with a strong determination to create unity in her home. She knew she had to fix her relationship with her husband EMT. Ashley spent the entire day planning the perfect day, making sure that every aspect of it was perfect. She prepared his favorite meal, cleaned the house, and ensured that the children were on their best behavior, because Amit was to home from work at 6 p.m. Monsieur Ashley had the table set and ready to greet him. However, he didn't arrive until 2 hours later. When Ashley went to meet EMT with a kiss, he turned away from her. Despite EMT's coldness and the distance that had formed between them, Ashley was resolved to make her husband love her again. She knew that their love was worth fighting for, and was determined to do whatever it took to rebuild their relationship. 2 hours after Ashley had finished preparing their dinner, the whole family gathered around the table to eat. EMT, however, claimed that he was not hungry. Despite his wife's evident effort in detention to detail, Ashley had clearly invested a significant amount of time, thought, and love into the meal. But EMT's lack of interest left Ashley feeling disappointed and hurt as the rest of the Corrigan family enjoyed their meal. EMT suddenly stood up, announcing that he needed to drive to Walgreens. He insisted that he would be right back, seemingly oblivious to Ashley's growing concern. Ashley realized that there must be something else going on behind EMT's actions, and she pleaded with him to stay and connect with her. She reminded him of the importance of their family. However, EMT's response to Ashley's pleas was harsh and dismissive. EMT told her that she should not tell him what to do, and then proceeded to leave the house, leaving Ashley feeling confused and hurt. On that same day, another problem was brewing in EMT's life. His assistant Candy and Rob Hall, her husband, had reached the breaking point in their marriage. Rob was packing his things and made the decision to leave their home. Despite their love for each other, Rob believed that it was best to remove himself from the situation and start anew. That evening, Rob called his daughter and asked if she was out in Candy's car. His daughter informed him that she was not. Several minutes later, Rob's daughter drove past Walgreens and noticed her mother's car in the parking lot, not giving it much thought. She promptly called her father to inform him of her discovery. Rob's initial response was simply, "Oh, okay." Little did they know that this seemingly innocuous phone call was about to alter the course of two families forever. Meanwhile, Ashley laid in bed, her heart heavy with worry, as she prayed fervently for her marriage to work. She had continued to text and call EMT, desperately trying to reach him, but to no avail. Her gut was telling her something was amiss, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of unease around 1 p.m. 911 call alerting dispatch to reports of gunshots and a woman screaming in the Walgreens parking lot. The police quickly mobilized, unsure of what awaited them at the scene. Was this a random drive-by, shooting, a drug deal gone wrong, a robbery, or something else entirely? They had no idea what to expect. As they cautiously approached the scene, when the first officer stepped out of the patrol car, his eyes were met with a chilling sight. A man lay lifeless on the ground. A second person, still alive but wounded, grasping his head in pain, was there. As well, the injured man was rushed to the hospital with a gunshot wound, leaving the police with more questions than answers amidst the chaos. There was one woman who police wanted to speak with her. Name is Candy Hall, and she was present at the crime scene. Candy identified the man at the hospital as her husband Rob, and the man dead on the ground as her boss, EMT. EMT had been shot twice in the head and chest, not long after EMT was found dead at the Walgreens parking lot. Ashley, his wife, was woken up to knocking on her front door when Ashley answered to the door. She saw police officers outside who told her that her husband EMT was dead. He had been shot and didn't make it. Ashley was stunned and inconsolable and had no idea what could have happened that led to this after the police told Ashley her husband had been killed. A detective asked her if she knew who Rob and Candy Hall were. Ashley said she knew Candy was EMT's assistant but suspected she and EMT had been having an affair. Candy Hall was taken to the police department from the Walgreens parking lot and questioned by the detectives who were trying to get a clear picture of what went down that led to EMT being killed and Rob being shot in the head. The detectives asked Candy if she and her boss EMT had a relationship, but she said no when asked if they ever had intercourse. Candy adamantly denied it. According to Candy, she had driven to Walgreens that night to pick up a prescription. Candy explained that she and EMT had a coincidental meeting in the store, and they decided to go for a drive in EMT's car as they drove to a gas station. Candy's phone rang. It was Rob. Her estranged husband Candy informed Rob that she was out with EMT. However, the conversation took a dark turn when Rob expressed his jealousy and threatened to shatter EMT's head open finally. After what felt like an eternity, Candy and EMT arrived at Walgreens. As they stepped out of the car, Candy's heart sank as she saw Rob standing at the entrance, his anger clearly visible on his face. A heated argument ensued and a physical fight between Rob and EMT erupted. Suddenly, Candy heard 3 sharp pops. She turned to see both men lying on the ground. Candy spotted the gun lying on the ground and picked it up and tossed it aside when the detectives asked Candy, "Who fired the first shots?" "Rob or EMT." She said she had no idea the gunshot wound to Rob Hall's head was superficial. After the doctor stitched him up, the detectives went to question him. During the detective's interview with Rob, they told him they found a gun at the crime scene and asked him who it belonged to. Rob admitted the gun was his and said he and EM gone into a fight in the Walgreens parking lot, and at one point the gun fell from his pocket. Once the gun was on the ground, Rob alleged that Amit dove for it, and then a struggle for the weapon started, and EMT shot him in the head. He said he didn't know who shot EMT during the fight for the gun, because Rob had a head wound from the gunshot. The detectives were not surprised he couldn't remember much. However, the detectives found themselves questioning if EMT was the one who shot first, considering he ended up dead since the shooting had taken place in the Walgreens parking lot. The detectives turned to the security footage for answers. While reviewing the footage, the detectives noticed Rob Hall arriving in the parking lot at 9:55 p.m. 1 minute later, Rob was seen entering the Walgreens store and rushing through each aisle, seemingly searching for someone. The security footage captured Rob exiting the Walgreens at 10:06 p.m. and parking his car in a spot beside Candy's. He proceeded to wait there for the next few minutes. Approximately 10 minutes later, EMT's truck appeared on the footage as it pulled into the parking lot. However, the shooting was not caught on camera. Candy, EMT's assistant, initially denied being in a romantic relationship with her boss. However, the whispers among their co-workers suggested otherwise. According to their co-workers, Candy and Rob were seen spending a lot of time in his office with the door closed a mere 3 weeks after she was hired on. The day EMT was shot, detectives stumbled upon a curious discovery. EMT had accompanied Candy to the public defender office to discuss divorcing Rob during their investigation into the murder of EMT Corgan. The crime scene investigators conducted a search of EMT's vehicle in the parking lot and discovered steroids in the glove compartment. Many of EMT's loved ones were not surprised by this discovery because EMT had been heavily focused on bodybuilding and his behavior was different. Some of them believed that he was using steroids. When Candy gave her statement to the detectives, she described a peculiar shot cadence that led them to believe that Rob shot and killed EMT 2 times before turning the gun around and shooting himself in the head. This evidence was sufficient for the detectives to obtain an arrest warrant for Rob Hall, charging him with first-degree murder. Rob Hall was subsequently arrested and charged with the murder of EMT Corgan. The consequences of Rob Hall's actions were severe if convicted of first-degree murder. He faced either life in prison without parole or the death penalty. When it came time for Rob Hall to stand at trial for the murder of EMT Ashley, EMT's wife, hoped that the trial would bring some closure to her grieving process. Ashley believed that obtaining answers about her husband's affair and death would provide a sense of closure. Prosecutors alleged that Rob was angry at EMT for having an affair with Rob's wife, Kay Andy, and blamed EMT for running his marriage into the ground. According to the prosecution, Rob shot EMT and then decided to take his own life. However, Rob Hall's defense told a different story. Rob's attorneys claimed that EMT was the aggressor on the night he died. They alleged that EMT had a history of steroid abuse, and somehow during the altercation, EMT got hold of Rob's gun and shot Rob before Rob regained possession of the weapon and killed EMT in self-defense. One of the key witnesses in Rob Hall's trial was his wife, Candy Hall. Candy's testimony during her husband's trial slightly differed from the account she gave to the police on the night EMT was killed. While on the witness stand, Candy claimed that instead of hearing 2 gunshots in quick succession, followed by another, she heard a pop, then 2 more fast pops. This new version of events favored the defense's argument that EMT shot Rob Hall first, before Rob got the gun back and shot EMT 2 times, killing him. The prosecutors needed to convince the jury that Rob and not EMT was the shooter in the Walgreens parking lot. To support this theory, they presented forensic evidence alleging that the type of weapon used to kill EMT and wound Rob accumulates a significant amount of gunshot residue (GSR) after it has been fired. Following the shooting, investigators performed a gunshot residue test on Rob and EMT. The results of the test showed that Rob's left palm contained 32 GSR particles, while his right palm had 23 particles. On the other hand, EMT had 1 GSR particle on his left hand and 0 on his right. These test results indicated beyond a shadow of a doubt that Rob was the one who fired the gun 3 times. EMT never had possession of the weapon according to the forensic evidence. After careful consideration, the jury found Rob Hall not guilty of first-degree murder. However, they did reach a unanimous decision that he was guilty of second-degree murder. This determination meant that the murder was not premeditated. The judge presiding over the case sentenced Rob to 30 years in prison. Rob will be eligible for her parole in 2028, when he is 58 years old. Despite the conviction, Rob has maintained his innocence and appealed his conviction in 2021. Rob Hall's conviction was reaffirmed by the Idaho Supreme Court, denying him a retrial. Candy Hall was arrested and criminally charged 2 months after EMT's murder with embezzlement for allegedly stealing money from the attorney who employed her before she started working at EMT's office. The embezzlement charges were unrelated to EMT's murder. Candy pleaded guilty to grand theft, a lesser charge than the original embezzlement allegations. She was sentenced to a term of imprisonment and was released in 2014 on parole. However, she currently remains on probation until 2026. In a candid interview with Dateline, Candy Hall expressed deep feelings of guilt regarding the incident and admitted that much of it stems from the impact it has had on her relationships with her children. The strain in these relationships has deepened, and she expressed her uncertainty about how they will be able to navigate through the lies she told to their family. Candy expressed her hope that one day she will be able to prove to them that it was all a regrettable mistake. Ashley faced a challenging journey in coming to terms with the fact that her husband EMT was murdered by his lover's husband. In a 2015 interview on Dr. Phil, Ashley came face to face with EMT's lover Candy Hall for the first time. Despite the emotional pain, she felt Ashley was determined to move on and create a new story for her life. As a result, she made the decision to close the book on her old life and move forward. The first step in this process was to move out of the town where she and EMT used to live with their 5 children. Over time, the children gradually adjusted to this change and began to find joy in their lives again. Eventually, Ashley remarried and had 2 more children. Ashley blogs for victims of trauma.